Just Cash Patel, this is part two. This is a very important situation because it involves, up in Oregon, a news journalist named Edward Snook. You should look into him because what this man publicly even admits, what he does, part of his entire business practice, is he's the guy who you can hire if you want to find blackmail on another public official and you're all corrupt. This is the man. He claims to be an investigative journalist. He claims to be anti-corruption. But what he does, by his own words, is you can hire him. He will send his team out to wherever the targeted person that he's hired to destroy. And they start digging and finding dirt and finding blackmail, whatever they can find. Then they use that blackmail to force the public official. He claims he does this to prosecutors. He claims he does this to district attorneys. He claims he does this to judges. He openly has stated this is the kind of people he uses these tactics against. And so he'll dig up some dirt. He threatens that public official to force them to do what he demands them to do. And it sounds like they usually go along with his demands. Therefore, this is highly corrupt. This man is after me. He's opened up his own false investigation to destroy my personal life, and he's been working his magic through these years. It's a big disaster, but it's highly corrupt. And the part that I want you to understand, Cash, is that he also has destroyed a 12-year-old victim who was sexually assaulted by an adult up in Josephine County, Oregon. And it was a big case at the time, but he was hired by someone to cover the whole story up. This man originally had 16 counts of sexual assault against a minor in the very beginning from the grand jury indictment. But then once Snook was brought in, his name Edward Snook, the U.S. Observer, once he was brought in, he was able to control the judges, control the prosecutor, and even sway the jury. It was a rigged jury. They had picketers outside in front of the courthouse the day of the trial. They put this 12-year-old little girl on the stand, which never should have happened. I mean, the entire trial was hijacked. The 16 counts of sexual assault were dismissed, and the entire tone of the ending result was they were able to twist the entire situation against the 12-year-old, and they painted this man by the name of Brian Tucker as the victim, and he was an adult. Crazy story. The mother just destroyed this little girl. Ed Snook came in and lied, fabricated false news stories about the mother and the daughter, saying that they were shoplifters. I mean, everything you could imagine to destroy the credibility of this victim 12-year-old and her mother, the U.S. Observer did. And this is the man who has now also come after me. It's a long story, but if you could possibly open up a file on U.S. Observer Edward Snook and look into the Brian Tucker story out of Josephine County Circuit Court, you will find a disaster of a situation. And in my personal opinion on looking at the entire situation, it looks to me like Brian Tucker was hired to groom and to recruit the 12-year-old in for child prostitution. And then Ed Snook was hired to cover it up. So there's some shenanigans, child prostitution, human trafficking, big time going up in Josephine County, Oregon. And they use the Girls and Boys After School Club as their location to recruit by sending in people like Brian Tucker to find young little girls and boys who are fatherless or have kind of, a difficult childhood situation. As we all know, they groom them in, they lure them in, and they start grooming them, and then they end up getting them into child prostitution. That's what I believe is going on in Oregon, and that's what I believe Edward Snook, U.S. Observer, he's connected to some very bad people, and he was hired to cover it up, and that's what he did. But now we have you, Cash Patel, and your great administration is going to start putting a stop to this kind of criminal activity, and these people are no longer going to get away with this. We've got to expose them. We've got to not be afraid. We've got to talk about this publicly. Anyone that has any information on any corruption that you are witnessing, no matter how big or how small it is, we've got to stop it. If there's people in your neighborhood that are going along with targeting other people and working all this weird stuff that you're witnessing, that is illegal. It needs to be reported. Anything like that, American targeting other Americans, all this stuff, monitoring each other illegally, all this stuff is not lawful. I don't care what they've told you. It is illegal and it's going to come to a stop. Anyway, thanks for listening. Peace out.